Hey guys, it's Claire, and I am so excited to show you that some of our winter seeds that we planted last week are starting to come up. Look right there. That's the early Jersey. It's a cabbage. Look at all these cauliflower seedlings that germinated. Now obviously I'm going to move them out of the green stalk and into the beds. There's a little tiny red express cabbage. And there's something, that's one of those cone-shaped cabbages. I don't know that I'm pronouncing it right, but it's called Coeur de Beau. So many cabbage seedlings. I've got the basils going in there right now and a pumpkin on the bottom, but we cleaned up the beds last week and I got these in here, and of course I'll separate them out. This video that you're about to watch is a continuation of our last video where we talked about just kind of wanting to get things cleaned up and pulled up. I filmed myself doing that. I actually filmed the whole yard. What we're gonna show you is just one kind of main bed that we were able to get through, because once you see that, kind of everything else we did was really kind of the same old thing. You've probably been bored with it. So guys, we told you we were gonna pull some of this up. I got up early this morning because I wanted to be out here before it got too hot. And I'm working on this bed, which in addition to just having a lot of the random extra tomato clippings that I decided to just experiment and stick in here, this bed has a ton of weeds. And our other beds do not have a ton of weeds. So I think that that is because the very first year, this bed was actually not a bed we used for planting. This is actually where we composted. And I think the very first year we were composting, we didn't understand that you want to keep your weeds separate. So over here, I've got the weeds that I've pulled so far, and we're gonna put them in a burn pile. If you put your weeds into your compost, then you're putting all the seeds for next year into your compost. And then if you spread that compost out, then you're gonna be dealing with weeds. And we just didn't know that. And that's particularly why I think this bed is so bad. It's also really makes the bed look a lot wilder than it is, because when you look at it now, you know, there's a row of parsnips. I've got some room right here to plant. That's where all these weeds were. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue to separate weeds. Now this is one of the tomato plants that I pulled already this morning. And this was one of the ones that started from a clipping, you guys, just from something I was pruning off of a different tomato. I stuck it in the ground and it created an extremely large tomato plant, which you can imagine, if that's just vining everywhere, how much space that was taking up. Was right here as well. What's interesting is no fruit. No fruit on this plant. So I really don't mind pulling it up, because it doesn't even have a single tomato on it, and it hasn't produced a single tomato. But I will put these in our compost over there. So here's another tomato plant that started out as a little cutting, but I want you to see something. This is not the actual root. It's still buried back there. I couldn't pull the whole thing out. But look how the side of the tomato plant was forming roots. That's what the tomato does. The tomato is a vining plant. So here's another one that I've pulled out, but no fruit, no tomatoes at all. So it'll just go right here. But I thought it was really cool to be able to show you how it roots along the vine, and that's how it gets itself nutrients. I don't know if you can see, we've got these tomato plants just sprawling onto the ground. I don't see a lot of fruit, but I do see some. So I'm gonna prune these right at the base of the vine that they're attached to. That's a lot. So far, no fruit. Oh, there was one, look, one little tomato right there. So we got a green one, but this is a lot of tomato vine, especially if you're not having any tomatoes. there's 2 tomatoes, right? 3 tomatoes right there. One's starting to blush. So we might be doing some fried green tomatoes. That is what this bed looks like with all of these extra tomatoes. If you can see those, that's all the vines from the tomatoes. The reason that weeds grow is because the earth wants to be covered. And so when you leave your soil bare, you're exposing yourself to weed pressure. I have some basil seedlings in my green stalk that I've been growing. And at this point I have some that there's too many germinated for what the green stalk can handle. So I'm gonna line this with some basil, and that'll be really nice because it'll be great kitchen herbs. It'll give the basil more room to grow. And I find that basils and tomatoes work really great together. So the 2 tomato plants that I left, maybe we will actually get to see some fruit on them. I'm kind of curious now that the rest of the plants have been taken out. And I just wanna make sure that I don't continue to have a weed problem in here. So I'm gonna go get some of those seedlings and get those planted. So this is my little bucket of basil seedlings, and you can see they have just like a really thin little root, or I've got some of them that are still in a clump together that I'll need to separate. But I'm just gonna start lining this bed with these basil seedlings, get them in. So I had an intuition to just pull up a parsnip. I pulled up a couple and they were obviously not really edible, but I got this one that looks pretty yummy. And this little baby one. I might go ahead and just pull them up. When it splits like that, you see how it almost looks like a piece of wood. Now it'll be fine for compost, but I haven't really figured out when the right exact time is to harvest. I like to roast parsnips. These just look kind of scented, so let's just get it out of the ground. So, wasn't intending on having carrots for dinner tonight, but that's what we'll be doing. These will taste really good at this stage. So this is the bed a week later, down kind of low, so you can see how all those basil starts are doing. We had a good amount of rain earlier this week, so that was really nice. But they seem to be off to a really good start. And of course, this is the tomato plant that we pulled up. So this is that second bed with the gorgeous okra cleaned up. And what we decided to do was leave this one tomato plant vining on the ground so that it could act like a natural mulch. And then look. We found 2 cayenne pepper plants growing in all that wildness that we didn't even know were here. So we've got about 60 days before our next frost, first frost. So it maybe not have enough time to do anything, but we'll see. I also cleaned out this bed. It had all the pinto and edamame beans. It had cucumbers that were just diseased. Thought maybe I could get away with leaving them in the ground until the first frost. But look, that's going to seed. So I'll probably come out and pull these up today. And then this is the 4th bed in the front half of our garden. And this bed I thought I was gonna take a lot more up than I did. Hey guys, this has really been fun doing this YouTube journey with you every Sunday. Thank you so much for those of you that come back and watch our content and comment. We really love hearing your thoughts. We love getting to know you. We love learning about your gardens. If you are new here, consider subscribing. We'd love to have you join us. We'd love to learn about you. And when you subscribe, it really helps YouTube put us into the TV screens or computer screens of people like you who might really enjoy what we're doing. So thanks so much for being here. We'll see you next Sunday, guys. Have a great week.